Have you ever joined a new team with a new tech stack, with a new process, and a messy production issue already waiting for you? Here is how I ramp up fast. I zoom out before I zoom in. Hi, I am Necati, a computer scientist with 20 years of experience, and on this channel, I share my experience and thoughts. During my consultant gigs, I am constantly dropped into unfamiliar environments. New teams, new architecture, new tech stack, new development process, new deployment process. It's always new. The question is always the same. How do you stay on top of it? My strategy is simple. I start by understanding the end-to-end flow before I touch one line of code. I map the how value moves from the first user interaction to the last byte written. Once I can see the whole picture, I can choose where to zoom in. Take the classic, the app is slow example. Okay, this is a common complaint I believe we hear all the time. And I am sure you also heard it. A user clicks on a web page, the page feels sluggish. In a typical setup, a client app or website sends a request to reverse proxy, which forwards it to backend services, and then those services may push the work to a queue system, and then they may need to talk to a distributed database. There are many moving parts, and the common trap is to hunt only where you are comfortable. A backend developer dives into server code in the backend code. A front-end developer opens the performance tools, like on the browser, and an ops-focused engineer tweaks the proxy settings. All of those are valid, but each is incomplete without the overall system. So I begin with the symptom. Which pages or endpoints are slow? I start tracking the request step by step. I start with the front end, which endpoint it is calling. Can it be something on the front end? If it is not, then follow the request. Probably you will go to the proxy, open the reverse proxy logs, check the timeouts, retries. No luck? Then I follow the request to backend servers. So what does backend service do? Like, does it send it to a queue? The answer is yes or no. Is there a backlog pressure on the queue? Did the background job somehow scheduled again and again because of some kind of problem? Do we have any issue on the backend that somehow blocks the process? Maybe there's a problem in the database, maybe indexing. There is no indexing in the database in the columns that it needs to have. Is it possible that there is a poor partitioning? Maybe it's a problem with the database design. Even though probability is low, maybe there's a network issue somewhere. Maybe there are packets are lost. Those are the steps I roughly follow for this kind of problems, instead of just going with the assumptions and just try to focus only on one section. The same mental model also applies to data pipelines. It can be an ETL or ELT pipeline, it doesn't matter. I still try to walk the full path. What is the nature of source? Are we streaming or is it batch? Are we backfilling or is it live? Is the source an API or a database? In transformation steps, I try to figure out, is the transformation more like CPU bound or IO bound? On the load side, I look for choices the team has. What are the constraints? What is the partitioning strategy? How these choices are affecting the throughput? If you don't map the end-to-end flow, you will waste your time fixing a step. Probably that's not a bottleneck. So that is also important why you need to walk all the path and try to zoom out before zooming in. Now let's talk about production. First of all, let's accept that. We have all said at some point, it works on my computer. I remember I said at some point, and I am sure if you are listening to this, like you also said it. That usually means, like all our own world isn't the real world. Our local computer is not the production server. As engineers and problem solvers, our responsibility is to see the production as much as we safely can. That doesn't mean we need unrestricted access. It means we need to observe. We need real observability. I want read-only access logs, metrics, traces, dashboards. I need feature flags and canary deployments to test my hypothesis without putting everyone at risk. Now, why did I start talking about production? Here is the reason. In complex, regulated environments like finance or large companies, deployments are careful and environments are segmented for good reasons. That doesn't change the method. I still try to map the end-to-end process, even though it's not as streamlined as with small and medium companies or startups. Now, here is what is changing in these large regulated environments. As an engineer, this time our communication skills shine because now we need to map not only the technical flow end to end, but we also need to map the communication flow, how the teams communicate to each other. So that is how I ramp up in unfamiliar teams and systems. I zoom out before I zoom in. I look at how the entire system creates the value. I choose to focus on based on evidence and not comfort. That is the most important part. I don't choose where I need to focus on because I am comfortable with it. I try to focus on the part that I found there is an evidence that I need to focus on. If this approach makes sense, just I will say give it a try next time. See you in next video.